everyone. I am Fatou Juka Darboe from the Gambia. As you can see in my background, I am also joining you from the Gambia right now. I am the director of Make3D Company Limited, the first and currently the only 3D printing company in the Gambia. I am sorry if you can hear a little bit of noise in my background. I am actually home because I woke up a bit under the weather and I could not make it to the office. So it's a bit noisy with my neighbors. But yes, this is who I am, and I will be doing a short presentation, very quick walkthrough presentation that, okay. Farida, are you sharing the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So I might be going. I still can't see the screen, but I can, okay. It seems to be loading. So yes, I am director and co-founder of Make3D Company Limited. And Make3D Company Limited was, it's a 3D printing company that we started in 2019, my partner and I. Why did we start this company? We were just curious. We just wanted to see what are the benefits of 3D printing. Because when we started, I basically knew absolutely nothing about 3D printing. I had to teach myself, and he also had to learn on the go to know how we can incorporate 3D printing in the Gambian society, in the Gambian tech industry and all of that. Because tech in the Gambia is a growing industry and it is very small. And as I said, we are the first 3D printing company. So that means we have to do a lot of learning, a lot of introductions, and a lot of just getting people interested, because it's very difficult to get people interested in things, obviously, but just getting people interested in the technology. So we started Make3D Company Limited first as people that were just curious and just wanted to engage Gambians and institutions, educational institutions, health workers, and mostly those in the tech fields, because I have a background in mechanical engineering and he also has a background in engineering. And we just wanted to see we just wanted to have fun, basically. But at some point we realized we cannot have fun with these machines and be importing hardware and importing raw materials without looking at the sustainability aspect of the technology. So we said, okay, let's register it as a company. Then that's how we started it as a company. And in 2019, I can say we did not have a lot of financial activities. All we did was pro bono and volunteering and introducing people to the technology. And in 2020, early 2020 was when we had our first, I could call it a contract, our first engagement with the UNDP Accelerator Lab. We collaborated with them and organized the first 3D printing hackathon in the Gambia, where we had groups of young Gambian businesses and entrepreneurs apply to see areas in which 3D printing can be incorporated in Gambia. So with that, we had a winner at the end of this hackathon, and this winner had to work with us for 6 months to see how we can enhance their local business. They were a group of, it's called Women's Initiative Gambia. They're a group of young women in rural Gambia that do soap production, local soap production. And we work with them to see how we can enhance their business using 3D printing. So this is what we have done in early 2020, and by March of 2020, COVID-19 got to the Gambia. And if you know, the 3D printing industry worldwide has been a very active industry responding to the pandemic by just producing things that were in shortage and being there for healthcare workers. So we saw this happening all over the world, and we were like, well, we are a 3D printing company in the Gambia and we're the only ones. Why don't we jump on this and see how best we can assist and shorten the logistic chains? So with that, we started working with UN agencies and also with the Medical Research Council in the Gambia at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. We had a contract with them from March of 2020 to December of 2020. We were housed by them. We did a lot of research with them. We did a lot of production and development of tools and devices that can be used, mostly health devices and tools that can be used in hospitals, in research centers, and to assist with COVID-19 patients. We developed connectors, oxygen connectors, and so many other things that are still in progress of development. So basically this is us in 2020. And okay, we have developed over 8,000 face shields in the Gambia. Also, one of my favorite products has been the ear savers. As I love to say, we have saved 1,000 ears from their face mask by producing ear savers in the Gambia, and just people having to wear them and not do everyday face mask without having any support for ears. We have done touchless door handles for COVID-19 support, for public places, for banks, for restaurants, so people don't have to be touching the door handles all the time and spreading COVID-19 or other viruses and bacteria, of course. And we have done asthma inhalers, and right now in the Gambia, around 20 asthma patients are using our asthma inhalers. We have, in other parts of health, you will see we have done orthopedic humeral braces with the only orthopedic surgeon in the Gambia to manage broken arms in Gambia, because it's very difficult in Gambia to actually have access to some of these devices. As when you look at logistics, sometimes they have to wait for months to have access to some of these things when they order them. So we started producing this in-house, and in partnership with the hospitals, we're also building their capacity so that they can do the production themselves and produce devices that they will need at that moment without having to wait for orders all the time, or having to wait for supplies to get here, or sometimes even supplies getting here and they are not the right thing or the actual device they wanted. And in education, of course, we have been very active in health, but also in education. So in Gambia, we have this issue with special needs students, because most of the special needs students that are going to school, okay, we can say most of the special needs students are not going to school in Gambia. And the very small number that are actually going to school don't have access to learning material, because what they are learning in Gambian schools and the material they're having from, let's say, donor agencies or from other groups that are coming to the Gambia, most of them are not as per Gambian context, so they cannot really contextualize and know what their other Gambian counterparts in schools that are not visually impaired are actually learning. So what we're doing is contextualizing Gambian ideas, Gambian structures, and 3D printing them for visually impaired people, and doing braille slates for them and other tactile maps of different areas of Gambia. So when they learn about the Gambia, they actually know that, okay, this is what we are learning, and this is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like. We have also partnered with university students, architectural design students that are now able to print their designs and visualize it and present it to potential customers, as well as their lecturers when they make their designs. So this also is one very exciting project we have been working on, and it's just amazing how the university students in Gambia never had access to 3D printing technology, or were never able to visualize. Some design their projects and it takes 10 years for them to actually see it in real life, because it has to be built first. But now they come to us, we help them redesign in 3D printing, and we print and show them so they can actually visualize and show their lecturers and use it for exams and other things. We have also produced the antibacterial pens for public places. These pens we use antibacterial filament to produce. So for someone like me that actually hates sharing pens, this was something I loved, because I can have my pen and know that if I give it to you, it will clean its surface and you will not pass any viruses or bacteria to me. And we have also partnered with local flower pot makers to produce unique and customized flower pot molds for them, so they can design whatever flower pots they wanted without using the traditional molds. In this frame is obviously local businesses. And I think I spoke about these soap molds in the beginning, where we work with local women that are producing soap. So at first, these women, they were using So in Gambia, we have this thing where when we have naming ceremonies or weddings, they're serving food in small containers. So these women were going around to wherever there is a naming ceremony or there's a wedding to collect these small plastic containers, and this is what they were using to mold their soaps. So one of the problems they had was that they could not quantify their soap. They could not brand it. They could not know how much soap they were making. And also they could not keep the molds because each time the mold keeps changing because the supply in the market for these cups are not the same. So every single wedding that happens, you might have a different type of cups for the molds. So we're able to design and produce soap molds for them, which they could brand. They could control the size and shape and style of soap they wanted, and they could use it for a long time, so they don't have to change their design. So people can actually recognize their soaps when they see it. They know this soap is from Women Initiative, and this is the type of soap they are producing. And we have worked with local organizations that are also producing sanitary pads for women to design templates so they can have uniform and custom sanitary pads. And I have spoken about the flower pots. You can see that in production. We have worked with local bike makers to produce tools that can help them in repairing bicycles. And we have also worked with a beauty school. In one of the images, you will see a hand. This hand they required because they wanted to use for the to do pedicures and manicures, not pedicures, to do manicures. So they wanted to learn how to do manicures, and they needed hand samples to actually use that every time. So they came to us and said, this is what we wanted to do, but we wanted it to look like this also with our school's logo on it. So we were able to do that. So this is just to show you the different type of 3D printing, contextualized 3D printing we are doing in the Gambia. Because we cannot just come and say, okay, we are the first 3D printing company in the Gambia. We have 3D printing machines, and this is what we should print. No, we are trying to make sure that Gambians actually understand what we are doing, and they get to us and say, this is what we want, so we work towards that. So it can be something they feel like this belongs to us, and this is what we can relate to. So basically, it's just working in partnership with Gambians to come up with solutions that are known to Gambia, but also involving 3D printing technology. Challenges. Challenges. I'm not one that likes talking about challenges, but yes, 3D printing technology in general, it needs constant electricity basically throughout, because if you print, you have to connect to electricity. And in this part of the world, we have very big challenges when it comes to electricity. Sometimes we can go on for days without having proper supply from the main suppliers. So when we knew we wanted to do 3D printing and we wanted to provide access to 3D printing technology to not just Gambians living in urban Gambia, but also in rural Gambia that might never have access to 3D print to electricity supply, we came up with one of our partners and designed a mobile off-grid solar powered system that we can transport. It is what you're seeing in the image right now, that we can transport to any part of the country with our 3D printer, place it in the most rural village in the Gambia, and just 3D print. And it has brought a lot of attention to our business because Gambians in other parts of the country don't feel like, okay, this is just for Gambians in urban areas or Gambians in schools that have great technology. We can also have it here if we have the solutions. So this was the goal, and that is what we did. And another challenge is lack of awareness. As I said, still, I keep saying this, we are the first company, and 3D printing is quite foreign in the country. So we have to actually go from one place to another to tell people that this is what we are doing, these are the benefits, and this is how you might need it. So it has been us doing our marketing, doing our social media, doing everything just so we can get people to understand what we do. Excuse me. Oh my God. So yes, this is where we are, and also the availability of raw materials and supplies, because most of our supplies, our 3D printers, we are buying from the Czech Republic. Our raw material, we are also buying from the same place as, and it is a very small market in West Africa. And until now, we are unable to find raw material within our neighboring countries. So this also is one of the challenges we are facing, and the market size, obviously, and electricity, which I already spoke about. So yes. Opportunities. There are so many opportunities with 3D printing technology. We did not know this until we started. So if I can tell you now, we have a full-time running business, and we even had to move to a bigger office because of the demand. Know that there are opportunities. And one of the opportunities we have looked at is establishing a center in West Africa for 3D printing companies, or a network, so we can have a network. Because when we did our research and looked at West Africa, all we found was maybe tech hubs that actually have 1 or 2 3D printers, but not really big companies that are doing the same thing as we are doing. So we want to have an organization, or what do I call, or an association where we can bring together everyone that is doing 3D printing within this region, and just share our network, because the 3D printing industry all over the world is built on networks. People just designing, printing, sharing ideas and solutions. So this is what we also want to do in this part of the world. We are looking into STEM education. We are looking into capacity building of hospitals and other agencies. We're using 3D printing so they can also use this as something that can help them. For business owners, it can help them be more financially viable. It can help them be more efficient in doing their business. It can help them advance their technology. And it makes some productions faster, of course, because you can actually look at what you're doing, prototype, change, adjust things, and all of those. So yes, there are so many opportunities, and we are here to look into them and expand. And finally, you can contact us on Make3D Company Limited. You can find us on our website, make3d.org. You can send us information, questions and inquiries at info@make3d.org. You can find it on social media platforms at Make3D Gambia, all social media platforms. And feel free to get our contacts from Farida or the Line and Connect team, and just contact us if you have any questions. And I am very sorry, my presentation has been a bit crazy because, as I said, I'm not feeling well since morning, but yeah. And my voice keeps giving up on me.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you so much for being here with us today. That was amazing, Juka. It was great to find out more as to what you guys are doing right now. So just looking out for Guram and Yusuf, during this time, I'm going to ask everyone that's attending, do you have any questions for Juka? If you can share them in the question and answer box, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so actually we have a question here, fantastic. So due to connectivity issues, we have Juka here with us today, and Yusuf may be joining us a little bit later on. So this session will be focusing solely on Yuka's work in the Gambia, which is fantastic. We've got lots of questions. I've got plenty of questions for Juka as well. So we have a question here where someone's asking, where do you get the filament?
We order all of our filaments, well, most of our filaments from Prussia in Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. So basically that's where we started from 2019. That's where we got our first printer, and that's where we buy most of our filaments from. We also got some filaments from Kenya recently. I will have to do checks and remember Kunda. It's called Kunda, actually, the company. They do 3D printed filaments. Yeah. So this is the two places we have been getting our filaments from. Fantastic.
How did you get the capital that you needed to start? So that's from Salou.
The capital we needed to start, as I said, when we started, we did not have any capital. All we did was use personal finances to buy our first printers. But as time went on, we had support from the ITC through the Youth Empowerment Project in the Gambia. We had support from MRC. We had contracts from MRC. We had support from other UN agencies in the Gambia, like UNDP and the Accelerator Lab. So we have had cooperations with ITC where we were contracted to actually get the young Gambian businesses to invite. We just ended a project in the Gambia where we invited young Gambian businesses to apply and work on enhancing their businesses using 3D printing. So what we did was send out applications, and this project was fully supported by ITC through the Youth Empowerment Project in the Gambia. And through this project, we were able to invite 10 businesses after we did the whole application process. And these 10 businesses were different businesses in the Gambia, which are involved in different things, some in cosmetics, some in design, some in soap making, some in so many other things, barbing salons, and they were just there to see how we can incorporate 3D printing in their businesses to make their businesses more efficient and more reliable. So we did different things to just assist them and enhance their businesses basically through a youth project that we did. And we also recently did another one where we had a competition and people applied, and at the end of this was also in partnership with ITC through the Youth Empowerment Project. And at the end of the day, one guy, Muhammad Ali Gay, who is a university student, won a 3D printer. So with this, he's also going on training with us where he is learning all about 3D printing, the technology and how to use it. And he's planning on starting his own business and organization with 3D printing. I hope that answered the questions.
That's great. And they also answered Anna's question. So you answered 2 questions at once. Thank you very much. Eduarda has a question for you. Have you faced any challenges as an entrepreneur woman?
Yes, there are always challenges. As a woman, as an entrepreneur, there are always challenges. As a woman in the Gambia and in the tech industry, it's not, I don't like speaking a lot on challenges, but I'll have to do this. As a woman in the Gambian tech industry, you have everyone talking about how being a woman, it is not your place to be in tech, how you are almost all the time the only woman in this field, basically. So this is one of the greatest challenges. It's like the stereotypes in Gambia and the tech industry when it comes to women. They're like, this is not your place. You should be looking at softer jobs or softer skills. And these are for boys. Why are you so interested in tech and all of this? So in Gambia, this is one of the main challenges. And obviously getting people to understand that empowering women in tech is not just about talking about it, but also supporting their tech businesses and going to them when you need things. So yes, these are the challenges we face, but also there's a lot of support in the Gambian community when it comes to people in business. So I would not want to let go of that.
We have a question from Leslie. Is the software all cloud-based? Which ones?
Yes, they are cloud-based. I am not the best person to answer when it comes to softwares. My partner would have been the person to talk about it, but right now we're using Fusion 360 with Autodesk. Yeah, basically that's what we're using. I am more of the hardware person and the production lady.
My question for you is, can you share more on your career trajectory? What did you study initially at university? What made you decide to really focus on this?
Yeah, I studied mechanical engineering at the Gambia Institute, at the Gambia Technical Training Institute, and I have worked in the tech field for how many years? 4 years now, and I have always just been interested and curious when it comes to tech. For me, it has always been a question of what causes this, what makes this happen. So I am always going back to look into things. I've worked in the petroleum industry in the Gambia as full-time maintenance technician for the Gambia National Petroleum Corporation. And with that, I realized as a young Gambian technician, it is very difficult for you to have access to tools, for you to have access to spare parts, for you to have access to so many other things, devices, softwares, and other things, basically. Most of the things you have access to are coming from outside the country. So this has been me and working. So whenever I see an opportunity in tech or something that I can use to provide solutions for myself and the work I do, I go into it. So basically this has been what has been leading me, and curiosity, finding solutions. I always say this, Make3D came about with me just being curious with my partner and looking for solutions for myself first and then expanding to others. So.
Fantastic. And how do you measure the social and environmental impact of your organization?
How do I measure it? we are still growing. I'm sure there is impact, but I'm not sure about the measure yet. I'm not sure about the measure yet, but we are working as we are providing solutions, definitely. It might be one solution at a time. It might be the orthopedic brace you just saw. So with that, I can say it has been very impactful because we have had a lot of contacts and a lot of people coming to us because they saw what we did with the orthopedic braces. And when you talk about social impact, I would say it has been very impactful because mostly in Gambia, people that have issues with orthopedic problems or bone issues, they don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to have surgery, basically, which is the other option for broken bones. And they mostly want to go in for traditional bone setters. So with our braces, it looks very similar to the traditional bone setters or what they're using, but just that with this one, you have to actually go to the hospital and get it done by a professional. So people are actually getting to trust it more and understand that they can have this without going to surgery. And it's acceptable. I can say it is more acceptable than the traditional surgeries or people just not wanting to go to the hospital and get the plaster of Paris on their arm for a long time. So basically, I cannot really measure the impact right now, which we are still working on, but I'm sure there is good feedback and we are working on it.
Fantastic. Another question from Eduarda. What are your plans for future expansion?
Our plans for future expansion, that's another thing we are working on. As I said, we just started in Gambia last year properly. And right now we are looking into neighboring countries like Senegal and the West African region. So I believe if we expand, or when we expand in the nearest future, we'll be expanding to Senegal first, since it is the closest neighboring country. And it probably has a bigger market, and it is bigger than Gambia because Gambia is very small and our market size is pretty much small too. So we are working and looking into expansion. Now we are working in building ourselves in the Gambia and expanding to other West African regions before we look at other parts of the world.
What advice would you give to someone in the Gambia right now who is thinking about setting up a business? They think about setting up a sustainable enterprise, but they really don't know where to begin. What steps would you recommend?
I would recommend first knowing what you want to do. And going for it, definitely. Then registering your business, because I feel like once you register the business, then you feel like it is done, so you will go in for it. So register your business, make sure you have all of your things intact, especially for young people. Right now, there's a lot of support coming from different parts of the world for Gambia. There's a lot of young people supporting, a lot of agencies. We have the ITC, we have UN agencies, we have Youth Empowerment Project, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and all they want to see is young people actually doing some work. So young people should just go in for things they want to do. Make sure it is obviously financially viable and and just something they can work into, something they can work on, something sustainable, and just go for it. Make sure you are doing all the right things and just follow your dreams, basically.
We have a question from Salu. What are lessons learned so far? What advice for young entrepreneurs working? What advice do you have? So quite similar to my question. What advice do you have for young entrepreneurs? But what lessons have you learned so far?
Lessons I have learned so far is that lessons in Gambian context is that you have to build your own standards. Because most times, especially, I keep saying this, we are a small country. We are growing when it comes to tech, and we are not there yet. A lot of things are quite very new to us. So you have to set your own standards. You have to make sure you know what you want, obviously, and build things according to the right standards or according to the standards of the world. So because basically there are no standards here as to what we are doing. So we have to always build our own standards. Another lesson I have learned is that nothing happens fast, obviously. If you if you want things to happen, you have to work on them, you have to believe in growth. Growth comes, it definitely comes with time, but it will not come overnight. As we all know, Rome was not built in a day, and people have to work hard for things. So yes, patience is a virtue, and things will take time. It's one of the biggest lessons I have learned. Things will take time, and business is business, definitely. I am still transitioning from being just a tech person that loves technology to becoming a business person. And I am learning a lot. I am still learning a lot. So yes.
Really interesting to see that you're also expanding into STEM education. It would be great to hear more on that. Do you intend to work with universities, primary, secondary schools?
Yes, the intention mostly is to work with universities. As 3D printing technology, if you look at other countries in the world, when you go to their universities, you will see these are technologies that are incorporated into their education system. So what we are trying to do now is incorporate it or find ways of getting it into the Gambian education system, because we have a university, we have a medical school where people are learning so many things, but they are not having access to technologies that can actually make their learning easier. So right now we are working on developing devices, body pads that they can use in their everyday learning. So yes, in STEM education, we are working on getting universities involved, getting science club involved. We have also worked with the robotic clubs in the Gambia. We are just trying to see, we are exploring. So we are getting into all sectors of STEM education, machines, architectural designs, basically anything.
Fantastic. A question from Leslie. How do you attract the talent, for example, tech people, for your future growth?
How do we what?
How do you attract the talent?
How do we attract the talent for our future growth? So, okay, one of the challenges we had when we started also was that there was basically no know-how when it comes to 3D printing in the Gambia. And since we had to learn on our own, we also got people involved that we had to teach from the beginning. So the 3D printing operator we have right now is a University of the Gambia student. When she's joined us, she also had no idea what 3D printing is. So we trained her and we gave her a job, and we continue training her on the job, obviously. So now she's good, and she's also training other people. So our plan right now on attracting talent is basically getting people that are interested first in the business or in the technology, and as well as getting people with a little background of tech and incorporating them into what we do. So I hope this answers the question, because basically we have been training every single person, from our 3D designer to the operators to the office coordinator and everyone. So yes, we are trying to see that we build capacity, we educate people, so we will have more people in the 3D printing industry.